So our lead this hour comes from a place we tried to avoid. We did not succeed. It comes from northern Wisconsin. And a certain quarterback who spends his winters, at least part of his winter, in northern Wisconsin, although he's in a more tropical location at this particular point after taking a very brief sabbatical from the story because of fatigue. Here it is. Ta-da! We're back on Rodgers Watch. You see, Aaron Rodgers, who had slammed the door shut to finishing his NFL career outside of Green Bay, that was last June, if you're keeping track, well, he's had a change of heart. You see, Aaron Rodgers has now reopened the door this week, and many have gotten their magnifying glass out to parse the words in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, the graffiti, if you will. Now, among those opining, and this is friendly fire, washed-up NFL player Rob Gronkowski. Gronk has a beef with Aaron Rodgers in his comments, although once you hear the beef play out, you're going to roll your eyes. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe this skip past your sonar here. Rodgers, in his weekly paid appearance, which I assume will come to an end, but maybe not, now that it's the off season for Aaron Rodgers, Rodgers said that he can still win an MVP award in the right situation. He said that among a cadre of other statements. So, okay, Aaron Rodgers thinks he can win an MVP still. He's that level player. Gronkowski was asked about that, speaking on something called the Up with Adam show. We don't know what that is, but they got Gronkowski, so they must have a big budget. We assume he didn't do it for free. And Gronk was not happy about that. He was not. Gronkowski has some questions. He has some questions for Aaron Rodgers, and as Warner Wolf would say, let's go to the audio tape.
Bro, like, why are you thinking MVP? Like, don't you want Super Bowls? Like, Super Bowls are I think, 5 times greater than an MVP award.
Come on, bro.
Relax.
All right, so this is what I want to talk to you about. Now, it's a little longer than that, but that was the money part of the quote. And so we want to play the hits here and not waste our time with the other gibberish. So the question on this one for you, is Rob Gronkowski's ripping of Aaron Rodgers over his desire to win an MVP, is that chatter inbounds or out of bounds? And so I have looked at this, and it is out of bounds. I've got Plastic Matt, Cheat Sheet, and Snow White. And we will combine all of these random things together, and we are going to make poutine. You can get some really good poutine in northern Wisconsin. I don't know about Green Bay, but I know in Appleton there's some good poutine. So to lead off here, now I want you to know, doing a 4-hour-a-night radio program, we like goofing on Aaron Rodgers as much as the next blowhard and gas bag that does this. He's a very reliable punching bag. He says outrageous things. He does things that lead to conversation, which is good for what we do. But after going to the replay, we quickly determined that Gronk is the one that was talking out of his tuchus. That Gronk was the one that didn't know what he was talking about here. And here's why. Because on the Pat McAfee show, Rodgers was asked specifically whether he believes that he can still play at a high level. His response was, of course, he said. I can play at a high level. Yeah, the highest I think I can win MVP again in the right situation. So that was the quote. So Rodgers was asked a direct question about his his skill set eroding. Not asked that question about the team's performance. Now, if Rodgers had been asked specifically about the Packers winning Super Bowls, and if his response, he had pivoted and said, no, I don't know about that, but I think I can still win MVPs. Now we're having a much different conversation. So Rob Gronkowski, guilty of getting out the large plastic mat and playing spinner to twist around the words. He was doing a little game of Twister there. He was taking out of context takes from Gronkowski. Rodgers has said that he does not want to be part of a rebuild. He said this multiple times. I believe he said it this week as well, which implies he wants to play for a championship caliber team, which would go against the main argument of Rob Gronkowski, who is obsessed with Super Bowls. And if I was riding the Tom Brady gravy train, I would also be obsessed with Super Bowls if I had a bunch, because I happen to play with Tom Brady. Of course, if Gronkowski had played in another location, for example, the Atlanta Falcons or the Carolina Panthers or whoever, he would not have the championship pedigree. All right, furthermore, how many episodes, serious question, how many episodes of the Aaron Rodgers offseason soap opera, Days of Our Lives, will we get? Rodgers, we know he's got bohemian tendencies. I'm anticipating some kind of golf outing, public golf outing that'll be on TMZ. I'm looking at some kind of tropical vacation that will be picked up by Page Six. The Daily Mail will have some story about Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan going into the Amazon with machetes and gallons of ayahuasca. But his breakfast cereal, Aaron Rodgers' breakfast cereal, has to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? I mean, Rodgers loves the circus. And he's the ringleader. We pointed this out before, but he knows how to get the clowns worked up into a lather. He sits back with a big bucket of popcorn. He enjoys the show. It's his guilty pleasure. This dramatic miniseries playing out on a sports radio show, social media, and television from January through June or July. Aaron Rodgers should take a page out of George Foreman's cheat sheet. And we know how successful the Foreman Grill was and still is. How about the Rodgers Waffle Wizard? Your personal cooking device to make the perfect breakfast waffle. For the fickle-minded football connoisseur. Undecided? Make a waffle. Rodgers Waffle Wizard. And then you can relax. You can relax. All right, last thing here. So I want to pivot away from that because Aaron Rodgers also had a rant about referees, officials who have left the NFL and gone to the world of television, the boob tube. And he was complaining about it. And he critiqued the NFL and said the reason these people are doing it is because they want the money. And that the NFL's cheap and they're not paying the officials, and that's why the referees are going to television. So what do you make of Aaron Rodgers' theory that the money is why these officials are leaving the field and going to work with makeup on in the booth? So on that particular take by Rodgers, that one is a swing and a miss. The officials get paid well for what they do. It's a part-time gig. There are limits, even if the NFL paid more, even if the NFL paid a lot more. These guys would still bail out to do television. I'll tell you why. The people that are doing the television, it's like channeling an old movie from back in the day in Hollywood, The Great Chase. And we're talking about the clout chase. And Mike Pereira, the gold standard, he started this when he left the NFL, the Great Migration. It was over a decade ago, closer to 15 years, when he went to Fox as a rules analyst. And then what happened? The copycats took place, and we've had different officials. Dean Blandino also went to Fox. Gene Steratore at CBS. John Perry is at ESPN. Terry McCauley is at NBC. And it's like Snow White, though, and it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. None of these people are bashful. Some are more outrageous than the others, but they're all very happy. If they were one of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs characters, they'd be happy. They're extroverts. They're not introverts. It's a better gig for people like that. You are the star, the shining star in the zebra safari. Rather than be the focus in one game, you can have the spotlight in every game broadcast by whatever television network you're working for. You're on Fox. If you're Dean Blandino or Mike Pereira, you've got all of the controversial calls. and Gene Steratore at CBS, Terry McCauley on NBC, John Perry on ESPN. You're the star. You're in center square. It's all about you. It's not about anyone else. It's about you, and that's what you want. You need the attention. You get the attention right to your veins. To your veins. It's right there.